Hi folks, Rusty here, average guitar picker. I thought I'd do a review for you today, and I'm going to show you, we're going to have a good look at my favourite guitar, which is this one. It's the Gretsch G6120T 55VS. And what that means is 6120 is the sort of model designation, if you like, sometimes called a Nashville. The T stands for tremolo because it's got the Bigsby on, even though it's not actually a tremolo, it's a vibrato. So, and the 55VS stands for 1955 Vintage Select, because this one is a reissue of the very first 6120s, which came out in 1955. And then after that model year, they started changing some of the specs, so the more recent ones look a bit different. Well, this is basically a copy of the 55 version. A few things are different about it. For example, the original had a fixed arm Bigsby rather than on a hinge like that. So this bit here was all one piece. They didn't have the sound post inside, I don't think, but I'll be talking about that later on. Now, how this one came about was that Gibson were doing quite well with Les Paul and their Les Paul model. And presumably Les himself was doing quite well out of it as well. So Gretsch thought, well, you know, we've got some jazz guys in the adverts and stuff, but we need someone who's, you know, a little better known to endorse our product. So one of their guys, Jimmy Webster, started courting Chet Atkins, who was making some noise in the country scene there. He was getting quite popular. And so he was courting Chet, and apparently Atkins wasn't all that keen, because he liked his D'Angelico that he was playing. And eventually Webster says, well, what about if we let you design one and put your name on that? And Chet relented. He says, yeah, all right. So they came out with this basically in 55, and Chet Atkins absolutely loved it. Apart from the colour, the F-holes, the inlays, the steer's head, and the pickups. But other than that, he thought it was brilliant. And actually, I think the received wisdom is that Chet's hand can be detected in some of the changes that took place later on, as he got a bit more say in the matter. But I think to start with, he was happy enough just to get his name on the guitar. And don't get me wrong, I mean, there are videos of him playing one of these, and man alive, can he play it? So you know it's going to be good. Okay, so that's it for the history lesson, I think. Let's give her a good looking at down in the inspection area. Right then, we'll start with the back, and I'll go from the top down. So let's have a little look here. Whoops. Right, so it's back of the headstock here. These are open back Grover tuners. Very nice. And incidentally, you can see the serial number there. This is useful if you're looking at one online maybe, or in a shop. You can tell the date by the serial number. So if you look at the start, JT, that stands for Japan Terada, that's the factory. Then 22 is the year, and then 07 is the month. So July 22, this one was made. So, and you can maybe see there are little wings glued onto the edge there. Other than that, the neck, I won't say all one piece because it goes maple, 2 bits of maple there, and I think that centre stripe is a little bit of walnut. But there's no scarf joint here, and there's no joint there either. Not that those things are necessarily bad. And you can see that black purfling there on the heel, and a nice heel cap, black purfling on the back as well. Now the wood on the back, it's all laminated maple throughout. The back wood, it's trying to be a little bit flamey. It's not exactly pronounced, but you know, who cares? It's pretty nice. Okay, so that's the back. Let's flip her over. All right then, so headstock again. Right, so we've got the steer's head there. That's very nice. Bit of pearlescence going on with it as well, inlaid, and the Gretsch T roof logo inlaid as well. And if we're going to get super nerdy about this, and we are, notice how the serif on the G points towards the R rather than back in towards the G. So it's walking like an Egyptian. That was a feature of the 55 ones, and they soon changed it after that. Okay, so we've got a bound headstock there. Don't know what that dark wood is. Might be rosewood, but I don't know. It's rather nice anyway. They call that the bullet truss rod cover, and that distinguishes it from later models. Aluminium nut. And then we've got the famous cows and cactus inlays. I'll show you the close-ups of those. These are actually etched into the blocks, which are pearloid. I don't know if you can see that they're pearloid from here. But we've got the old cows and cactus. That's the 12th fret. And then somewhere to tie your horse up, I think. Alright, so that's those. Bound neck as well, with single dots. I'm colourblind, but I think the binding, they call it aged white or something. So you can give your own name to that. The top, by the way, is vintage orange stain, I think. Right, so let's zoom out and have a little look at the top. Man alive, that's nice. Now these do come with they advertise it as flame maple, and depending on the angle and the lighting, you can see some sort of striping going on there, but it's not pronounced by any means. And you might be saying, well, I've never seen the originals like that. Although, actually, if I look at this book I've got here, this is the Bible from Ed Ball. You can see that one looks pretty plain, although again, you know, you can't really tell depending on the light. That one looks like it's got a bit of figuring in, and that one has quite a lot. So I don't think it was a decision you could make and say, I want one with flame maple, but it seems to have been the luck of the draw that sometimes you got one and sometimes you didn't. Might be wrong about that, but I don't know. Right, so back to this one. So it's 3-ply laminated maple, this, by the way. And you can see it's got a few marks in the wood. There's one underlining the G there. And there's a couple of others around here, which I don't mind at all. I think it gives it some individuality, you know, as does the wood grain. So obviously that makes your guitar completely unique to you. So we've got the aged white binding there again with the black purfling all the way around. And also the same on the F-holes, which I really like. There you can see. Now going back to the neck, the board is rosewood. The curvature is a 12-inch radius. And the frets, there are 22 frets. I think they're called medium jumbo. Now, I don't know if you can see, but I've had this for 2 years now, and there's already a bit of fret wear going on around here. It looks bad from up above, but if you look from this direction, there hardly seems to be any height gone. So that was a bit worrying to start with, but I kind of convinced myself that it's going to be all right. Now, maybe if you've had one for a longer time than I have, I'd love to hear if you've found that fret wear might be an issue or not. I'm probably just worrying about nothing. Incidentally, these inlays are etched, so those lovely cowboyish patterns are etched into the blocks rather than just stamped on, if you know what I mean. Okay, right, back to the body. So we've got the big old F-holes there. I'll show you the pickups. These are made by TV Jones. He calls these T-Armand because he's basically copying the old D-Armand pickups, which the original 55 model of this one did have. And in fact, his actual name is Tom Jones, and you can't really see it here, I don't think, but it's got TV Jones written on there. So being that he's called Tom Jones, that's not unusual. Okay, let's have a look. What else is there to show you? This one's a bit taller, and they're not height adjustable, as you see, but the pole pieces, there's a single coil pickups, by the way, So these are the pole pieces, and then these are the things that are just screws to adjust the height, and you can do that individually. Seems fine out of the box though to me. Then we've got the bridge, rosewood base, and this is a Paul Bigsby design aluminium compensated bridge. When you use the Bigsby, it sort of rocks back and forth like that on the top of the wheels. And those big wheels do make it nice and easy to change the action. But if you're going to do that, do slacken the strings off first, because you don't want to strip out those screws. That you'd be in a whole world of pain if you did that. You'd need to get a new bridge. Okay, now the Bigsby itself. This is a variation of the B6, so it's called the B6 something or other. And it's got this lovely enormous handle, which I think is one of the things that makes it so smooth. I mean, I've got a few guitars with Bigsby's on, and this is by far the best. Well, it's certainly the best, if not by far. It's certainly the best. And I think that big old handle's got something to do with it. It just feels so smooth and sort of almost as an extension of your body, really. There you go. I mean, it was gold plated. I say it was, because as you can see, it's basically worn off the handle and some of the main body of it as well. You only have to look at it and it wears off, this gold plating. Well, you can see that edge of the pickup, the same thing's happened. So if you're precious about your gold plating, either don't buy one or don't play it, which is a crime, obviously. You can see, if I contrast it with the knobs there, it was originally that colour. So moving on to the knobs, we've got gold plated, got those lovely metal Gretsch knobs there with the, what do you call that on the sides? I can never remember. Anyway, bumpy bits on the sides, and a single arrow on top rather than the G indent which came in later. Done that on that. The usual Gretschy strap buttons, which do actually unscrew. Then you can put your strap on, and then the idea is you screw it back on. There's like a little, it screws off, and there's a little post underneath. I don't like doing that. I just make the strap a bit, just ream out the hole in the strap and use it like a conventional strap button. I don't want to be unscrewing them and screwing them back in all the time. That's just me though. Now the G brand there, that's routed out and painted rather nicely. Okay. Now internally, this one has got, again, it's mimicking the 55 model in that there are two braces inside under the top, parallel braces that go pretty much the whole length of the guitar. Now, unlike the original though, this has actually got, if I can show you, a sound post inside. So there you can see the sound post there, just under the bridge. And that's supposed to add to, you know, increase the durability, if you like, and also reduce sustain. I think they're just making that bit up about the sustain, but there you go. All right. So that's inside. Okay. The bridge, right, the controls, three-way selector switch, so neck, middle, or both rather, bridge, and then we've got the classic early 50s Gretsch layout underneath, which they use for most of the guitars these days, and that is volume for the neck pickup, volume for the bridge pickup, master tone, and master volume. I think that's really useful, the old master volume. I suppose the idea is that if you're in the middle position, you can set the blend you want with your individual volumes, and then if you think, well, I like that blend but I want to play a bit quieter, just whack down the master volume rather than having to fiddle with two different knobs. All right, so that's basically the idea. Beautiful instrument. Oh, the finish I forgot to mention is nitrocellulose lacquer. So that's the old-fashioned style of finish. I won't really get into the debate about nitro versus poly here, but people seem to have very strong views on that. I don't know. I think it's overdone, to be honest. But people do get upset about it. Now, let's have a look at the scratch plate, or the pick guard. Nice and thick. I think I measured it at 5mm, so it's lovely and thick. It's made of plexiglass, I believe. And you can see there, I'll switch it so we can read it the right way up. We've got Chet's autograph there on some sort of crooked signpost to give it that sort of hillbilly flavour. And there the Gretsch logo is actually ghosted. In other words, it's routed out underneath, and then the clear guard, because it's made of clear plastic, is sprayed underneath, and you get that lovely effect. Very nice. Usual bracket there. No plate on the socket. I don't know. I like them having a plate, to be honest, but there we go. What are you going to do? So there it is. A beautiful guitar, I think. Yeah, I forgot to mention some of the dimensions, didn't I? So the scale length, in other words, from bridge to nut, is 24.6 inches. That's pretty standard for most Gretsches these days, apart from the Country Gents, the Falcons, and the Steve Wariner model, which are 25.5. The width at the lower bout of the body is, sometimes it says 16 inch in the literature. It's actually a little bit under, closer to 15.5, and the depth is 2.75. All right. So you might be thinking, yeah, man, that's a beautiful guitar, but I'm not sure I want to fork out all the big money for it, which, you know, is fair enough because they are expensive. So are there cheaper alternatives? Well, yes, there are. So here's one on the left. This is from the Electromatic series, and you can see that that is very similar looking guitar. I've actually swapped out the bridge there, but other than that, it's as it came from the factory. And that's a G6120T. You can ignore that cloth, by the way. That's just to stop the strings chiming behind the bridge, because they were doing that a little bit. The bridge, as I say, I did swap it out just for cosmetic purposes, really. This is the original bridge. It's an Adjustomatic one, and those posts actually screw into the body, so it's not going anywhere. And they screw in with a little Allen key, and of course they end up being flush with the top of the bridge. So that's the bridge that you get with it, with the Electromatic one. I forgot to mention, actually, this one, they call it a pin bridge. What it is, though, it's not actually fixed to the body. There are tiny little studs, one on either side, coming out of the body, and the corresponding underside of the bridge has little hollows carved out, which are sort of oval shaped in that direction. So it's easy to find the right placement side to side, and there's a little bit of room for intonation back and forth. Okay. Now going to this Electromatic one. This one is from 2010, so it's 11 years old. The more modern ones are a little bit different. For a start, you don't get them in sunburst anymore, but there are lots of colours to choose from, including orange, of course. The main differences are you don't get the hump block binding the hump block markers anymore. They didn't last long. They're the thumbnail ones now, which are also cool. And the headstock is now bound, slightly smaller, narrower that is, and it doesn't say Electromatic on it there. Although, actually, I quite like that, although I don't think it was popular. But I like it because it's got some history. It dates back to the 40s. Let me show you this one. Here's an old Streamliner from 1955, and you can see there it's got the old Electromatic vertical logo, exactly the same. So don't be ashamed of your Electromatic. Now, is it any good? Well, this one was made in Korea back in 2015, although now they're made in China. But from what I can gather from the Facebook groups I have a look at and what have you, there's not really been any drop off in quality, so they're okay. This one again has the sound post although the more modern ones have gone for the later 50s inspired trestle bracing, which looks like this. So again, that's supposed to reduce feedback even more and increase sustain, but obviously it'll probably, I don't know, it may affect the tone to some degree. Neither of these is particularly loud acoustically, by the way, but that's not what they're designed for anyway, although they are great for just playing unplugged on the couch. Now that one, the Electromatic, if you were to get a modern version of that, it would cost, let me work it out, less than a quarter of this one. So you've still got the great looks. Some of the components are a little bit cheaper. The top's 5-ply rather than 3. Don't know what impact that has. It's slightly thicker top as well. And you know, the pickups that they have now will be Asian made, whereas these are USA made. And the Bigsby also is a licensed Bigsby, which means made in Korea. Although I recently, have I got it? Yeah, I recently swapped the spring out for one of these Reverend soft touch jobs, and that has made it a whole lot smoother. It's smooth as silk now. So basically, it's, you know, which one to get. The Electromatic is, don't get me wrong, I think these are fantastic guitars. And really, in a way, at a gig situation, you might be better off taking the Electromatic because, you know, you're not going to be paranoid so much about it getting damaged or stolen. And the other one, the red one, I thought I'd show you for a laugh. This is a cheap Chinese Groat guitar I got. You can get these off AliExpress. And I've Gretched it up a bit with the Bigsby, with the metal knobs and with a fancy Gretsch bridge. And that badge I stuck on just to cover up a bad repair I'd attempted with the finish. It's a thin line one, that. I think it's all right. It looks and actually plays really nicely. But I'm not sure I would recommend it because I found out after I got it that not only is there no bracing inside the body, there's no kerfing either. You know, those little strips that go between the back and the sides and the top and the sides with the slots cut in. There's none of that. So it's just top, back, sides, glue, bang. But so far so good. Hasn't fallen to bits yet. I'm not going to try and chop a tree down with it. So anyway, if you do fancy one of those, go into it with your eyes open because, you know, some of the specs might differ slightly, like you might not get the bound F holes and the truss rod cover might be different, that kind of thing. So there's another alternative. And I mean, after I've finished messing about with it, getting the Bigsby and the bridge and whatever, it still cost me almost 400 quid. So it wasn't that cheap an alternative, really. I would, if I was to recommend one or the other, I would go for the Gretsch Electromatic one. And they do a streamliner, which doesn't look as much like a 6120 as this does, but it still looks like a pretty good guitar, and on the old forums, people have got very nice things to say about them. Okay. Just before I forget, one thing I did forget to mention is the neck profile, which Gretsch are calling a standard U. I think it's lovely. It fits my smallish hands down to the ground. And I do prefer it to the C profile of the Electromatic one. But again, these things are subjective, so, you know, you might prefer it, you might not. You might prefer the other one. Okay, so, is it any good? Well, for £3 it better be, hadn't it, really? And yeah, it is. I mean, these ones out of the Terada factory are supremely well put together. You can't fault the workmanship at all. I haven't found anything wrong with it at all. Losing my badge there. So yeah, from that point of view, it's fantastic. It looks like $1 million, I think. I mean, you can get ones with different features and specs and decoration and what have you. And it plays like an absolute dream. I'm not going to do lengthy sound samples because there are better videos online for that. Just bear in mind though, when you're watching it, if it is from a retailer, he is trying to get $3.5 or $3 off you, so he's not going to say it's rubbish, is he? Anyway, as I say, oh yeah, and because I'm recording this on my phone, the microphone is tiny, so that's not going to be very good. And also the amp I'm using, I'll just show you my amp. Oh, there you go. So you can see I'm not going to get a big powerful valve amp sound out of that, am I? It's a good amp though, and it's got delay, built-in delay. So I'll give you a little sound sample and then I'll give you my final thoughts. I did forget to mention one thing I do like about it is the master volume switch is very even, by which I mean it's got a nice full range there. I get mixed up whether that's audio taper or linear taper. I can never remember which it is, but basically on some guitars you'll find that it goes from nothing to about 8 very quickly and then doesn't increase very much up until about 10. But this one is much smoother. Which comes in handy, of course, if you're doing that blendy thing I was talking about earlier. All right, so we've got neck pickup, nice beefy tone even through my little Laney amp, middle, treble or bridge. You can get your Dwayne Eddy on with this as well. Like that. So there's the sounds. I don't use the treble pickup much, but that's just me. I quite like the middle or the bridge. So what do I think? What's my final thoughts? Well, basically I love it. This has been my dream guitar since I was about 12 and I had a poster of Eddie Cochran on my wall with one of these. So I'm absolutely delighted with it, and especially the look. I mean, it looks fantastic. It plays lovely, plays like a dream. So I'm absolutely delighted with it. But then again, that's good news, considering that I did fork out, you know, 3,000 bananas, which is a lot of do-re-mi for me. Now, is it worth it, you might ask yourself? Well, there's no doubt about it, it is a luxury item. And if you like luxury items, you've got to pay the big money. But having said that, the Electromatic one I showed you before is perfectly up to the task of gigging, recording, anything like that. And I think you'll agree, they do look fantastic as well, for less than a quarter of the price. And they sound all right and play really nicely. So it's up to you really. Do you want to spend all that extra cash for that little bit extra luxury and, let's face it, prestige as well? Pause. Forgot what I was going to say there. So yeah, I mean, it's stupid to put a figure on these things, but I am stupid, so I'm going to do it. Now, if you ask me, how do they compare the Electromatic to the Professional series, this one? And I would say the Electromatic is about 85% as good. So that makes it a pretty high quality guitar in my view. And the Grote one, well, that's a bit of a laugh, but it plays nice. You know, I don't know how long it'll last. So there's my thoughts anyway. I hope that's been of some use to you, if you're perhaps thinking about buying one of these, or if, like me, you just like looking at guitars. So that's all from me. Why not subscribe to the channel? It's mostly me trying to play stuff and then showing you how I'm doing it. But you may find that entertaining in some way. Who knows? So that would be great if you fancy subscribing to the channel, and give us a like if you've enjoyed this. So that's my take on the Gretsch G6120T 55VS. So hope you've enjoyed that. And until the next time, keep on picking. So long.